You want to go grab a couple spoons?
No.
Okay.
But we could... I feel like we could do, like a prim and proper. Maybe we do what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back to Ever Does a Movie Ever. My name is Jess and I'm watching Ever Does a Movie Ever. Today we have Eric.
I'm back.
He's back. And we're going to be talking about Mary Poppins Returns. Mary Poppins Returns is a 2018 theatrical release about Mary Poppins returning to help the Banks family once again. It's directed by Rob Marshall, cinematography by Dion Beebe, editing by Wyatt Smith, music by Mark Shaman, and it's written by David Magee. The film stars Emily Blunt as Mary Poppins, Lin-Manuel Miranda as Jack, Ben Whishaw as Michael Banks, Emily Mortimer as Jane Banks, Pixie Davies as Annabelle, Nathanael Saleh as John, and Joel Dawson as Georgie. So a sequel for Mary Poppins was in development hell from 1964. They had always kind of wanted to do a sequel, but Travers no at every turn because she hated what they did with Mary Poppins the movie. In the 90s they tried again and Travers was a little bit more open to it but made what they considered ridiculous demands and it fell through again, and then they tried one more time and there was just a bunch of casting issues so they didn't try, and then in 2015 they were given the go from the Travers estate so they were actually able to try. They casted Emily Blunt, and Julie Andrews turned down a cameo appearance because she did not want to take away from Emily Blunt. She wanted Emily to have her moment. Filming began February 2017 and wrapped July. There were 5 VFX companies and a ton of hand-drawn 2D animators were brought back and recruited. I'm pretty sure Mark Henn was involved, etc. Super exciting. Had a $130 million budget, made $349.5 million at the box office. Not bad. Has a 79% Rotten Tomatoes consensus. Mary Poppins Returns relies on the magic of its classic forebearer to cast a familiar but still solidly effective family-friendly spell. It was nominated for Best Costume, Best Score, Best Song, Best Production Design, and it didn't win any, and there's supposedly been a third film in the works as of 2023.
It's one of those classic Disney-style movies, well-paced, it was clearly done by somebody who knew what they were doing. And, I love the cinematography, I love the stage designs, all that sort of stuff. So, I thought it was a very well-run movie for my expertise.
So Rob Marshall directed this. He's done a lot of the remakes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember his full list, but I know he did a Little Mermaid remake. So he's well-versed in the remakes for sure. And he definitely has, like, a vision and always, like, a big, grandiose. He wants to go for the full, big, grandiose vibe. You really liked it.
Yeah, I really did. Bright, colorful, but also squeezing in that old school London style of dark, musty, foggy, constant weather, and they kind of balanced that really well to give you an idea of the juxtaposition between Mary Poppins' point of view and the general point of view of the population and, the parents who were dealing with their own stuff. So I thought the use of color was really prevalent in this movie.
Yeah. I thought the cinematography was also very well done. I think it was kind of exciting because I feel like they must have used, in certain areas, practical sets because there was some really dynamic lighting that has really been lost in a lot of these more recent films because they have to do a blanket lighting because of all the green screen, and the lighting comes later in color correcting, where there was some stuff in here that felt a little bit more dynamic that I was like, ooh, maybe we're actually having fun with some stuff. And then the 2D animated sequence, the hand-drawn animated sequence, I think is to die for. Mm-hmm. It's so exciting to have 2D animation back and in a hybrid format where you really get to see how far technology has come, because it was seamless. Like having the fire fly off of John as he's trying to undo the trailer. And it's fully 2D hand-drawn animation. So good. And just how seamless it looks during, like, when she puts the scarf on the wheel and you see the real scarf against the It's really good. I love also that the ground looked shiny because it was the ceramic bowl.
Right.
I think the 2D animation is to die for, and they need to bring it back.
No question. Sounds like they're going to, but it was a great homage to the original movie because that's what they did in that.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than just shift to CGI, which would have been the easy decision, they decided to give proper respect to the people who came before by putting in the 2D animation, but also using it in a modern style so you can capture modern audiences. And I thought it was extremely well done. And the twist of using the main villain in the 2D animation as well as the main was actually a really fun idea because they didn't really do that in the first one. So, really good sort of adding depth alongside,
Yeah, it was like a Peter Pan moment.
Exactly.
Where when you go to Neverland, Captain Hook is played by Mr. Darling.
Right.
It's one of those moments. Yeah, I think the 2D... It also was super fun because it was very traditional Disney-style 2D animation because they brought back a bunch of 2D animators. So the animals looked like the 70s, 60s, 50s Disney animals. So it was fun to see that as well. You said it was well-paced. You think it was a well-paced movie?
I think so. For a movie that was 2 hours and 10 minutes, I was never really bored. There was always some stuff going on. The plot moved forward really well. And, I think the strength of this cast really also sort of, did the job for it. And then, it never felt like any of the scenes really overstayed their welcome in terms of what I usually prefer. But, I obviously can't speak for other people. But I thought, considering it's a legacy remake and those are extremely hard to do in any circumstances, I thought this one was pretty well done.
Sure. On the flip side, I felt it was too long. I felt it feel too long. I think the resolution, it's nice to have a little bit longer of a resolution than like some movies do where it's like you get the resolution and then the movie ends. But I do think the resolution was a smidgen too long. I think the entire balloon sequence went on definitely way longer than Let's Go Fly a Kite goes on. But at the same time, I get it. You're trying to have this beautiful magical moment before Mary Poppins leaves. Also the cameo for Angela Lansbury and all that. What I did really love was that it had an opening titles sequence with an overture. We've obviously done away with the whole opening titles before the movie really gets into it. And to have like these beautiful paintings with actual titles during an overture of all the music we're gonna hear, classic, took me back for sure. That was really great. I loved that.
I mean, it's Lin-Manuel Miranda. What did you expect? But, I loved it. I thought, the beats were great. The dancing was spectacular. And, I honestly think Mary Poppins bits were the best, which is what you hope for because that's the way it was with the original movie. And her sequences, especially the dance sequence she did with Lin-Manuel on the stage, I thought that was one of the best of the entire movie. And but Lin-Manuel had his moments as well. The one where he was dancing with the chimney sweeps again, so that lamplighters, excuse me. But I really love the music, and I thought it was catchy from start to finish, and also a good blend of, bright, upbeat, like you get with the kids, to, a little more, steady, downbeat, sort of slowing things down a bit to get the point across. So, I've never been a great expert with music, but I thought, it was really well done, and given who was in charge, I'm not really all that surprised.
Okay. I did realize when I sat down to watch this that 4 of the 7 Week of Guest movies are musicals.
Oh, jeez.
Which I think is fun. So that's kind of cool. I think the music is fine. I think it is a good, in the same spirit as Mary Poppins. This is the most... I don't think Lin-Manuel Miranda, wrote a ton of the music. I know they had... Sherman Brother Consulting. I'm sure Lin-Manuel had something to do with some of the more rappy-ish bits that he did.
Hardly a surprise.
Which is not a surprise at all. I will say I think none of the songs are as good as the original Mary Poppins.
Fair.
And it is I'll touch on this a little bit in the writing as well, but it was a little frustrating to me that they just kept trying to, like, match the original Mary Poppins song with a different, like, instead of just making their own music for different moments of singing, you know, because the opening song is Bert's opening song. The bathtub sequence is Spoonful of Sugar. The lamplighter sequence is Chim Chim Cheree. The balloon song is Let's Go Fly a Kite. Like, each one, Where the Lost Things Go is Stay Awake. Tuppence a Bag is, you know, whatever it might be. There's a song in this new one that is partnered and inspired by a song from the original Mary Poppins, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but, like, it is so noticeable that that's what it's doing that you cannot help but compare.
It's the situation where you wish it had tried to forge its own identity rather
exactly.
than leaning too much.
It feels very like, okay, well, Triple Little Light Fantastic is Chim Chim Cheree, so I'm naturally going to compare it to Chim Chim Cheree. And while Lin-Manuel Miranda absolutely stepped out of his musical comfort zone to do that dance sequence, he's not Dick Van Dyke. Dick Van Dyke is, like, an incredible trained dancer. He's 93 years old dancing on a table at the end of the movie. So, like, Lin-Manuel Miranda, fantastic, talented. Obviously, his lyricism is out of this world. He's not Dick Van Dyke dancing. So, you can't help but do it, though, because it's very obviously meant to be a Chim Chim Cheree sequence. And I wish they had done something different. I wish they would have tried to, like, you know, Mary Poppins just sings lessons. So, you know, they changed some of the lessons, like, you know, Spoonful of Sugar is to, you know, you can have a little fun to help the part you don't like, where the bathtub sequence is the opposite. Like, you can have fun while you're also being serious. She's trying to teach these New Banks children a little bit different of a lesson. So I like that there's a new lesson, but just the fact that it was literally, like, beat for beat, like, here's the opening numbers, here's, you know, Where the Lost Things Go and Stay Awake are the same. Like, that was a little frustrating to me, because then you can't help but be like, okay, well, nothing's gonna be Chim Chim Cheree. Sorry, Triple Little Light Fantastic is really great. The whole sequence is amazing, but it's not Chim Chim Cheree, and you've done it beat for beat for beat that I'm going to compare, which, you know, it's already Mary Poppins Returns, of course, it's going to be compared to the original. But it just was like, why are you trying to do the exact same song but with different, if that makes sense?
It does. And, you know, I get it, you know.
Oh, the cover is not a book, it's supposed to be Supercalifragilistic, which, no. I think that is the weakest of the...
Honestly, I thought the Meryl Streep song was the most fun.
That is supposed to be I Like to Laugh.
Huh.
Which I also thought was interesting. I had seen this in theaters. I completely forgot about Meryl Streep in this movie. I had no memory of that whatsoever. And that was fine. That song was fun. I like that, you know, they turned the whole thing upside down. That was fun.
But this is always the problem you run into with sequels. They tend to try and lean into what made the first one successful. Sometimes, sometimes it can work, but
100%.
Most of the time, by not forging your own identity, it just sort of kind of bleeds into the first one and just becomes an extension of it rather than standing on its own.
I wish they could have, like, pushed... And, like, what's the next thing for Mary Poppins? Does she only help the Banks family, or does she help other families? Show me what other lessons she could be teaching parents or children or whatever. Because, like, the whole thing is Mary Poppins not actually sent to help the children. She's sent to help the adults.
Makes you wonder why they didn't lean more into the books, because there's supposedly an entire book series, right?
Yes.
So, you know, why not go with something like that rather than lean into the first movie? Because you had so much great material to pick from. This isn't the first movie that's done something like that.
No,
it's
of
just
course.
You know, one of those things where you wish they had, because there was so much rich material you could have pulled from.
Right. But musically speaking, the music was good. It's just I was upset that it was like, this song is this song. This song is this song. Like, it was very obviously meant to be like that.
Right. You know, I liked it. I don't think it was anything special. You know, I think the acting carried this more than the story itself did. It was nice to see that it was fast-forwarding to see how the original Banks children are handling their own adult lives. But at the same time, it was treading kind of familiar ground, like you had been saying.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was a fun story, but nothing that really, you know, stood out differently from the first one. It was just kind of... I hate to make this comparison, but it felt a little too much like Rise of the Skywalker from the newer Star Wars trilogy, where it was basically A New Hope, just...
Force Awakens.
Excuse me, thank you,
Yes.
Force Awakens.
So, my note about Force Awakens was it's A New Hope with a new coat of paint.
Exactly.
This is Mary Poppins with a new coat of paint.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
With updated graphics, updated whatever.
It's not a bad thing,
The
but...
biggest difference in this movie for me is Michael is a much softer and tender father than Mr. Banks was.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the biggest difference, and that's the part I liked the most part of the story. I was like, oh, okay, Michael's like not the same as his dad was. I really like that. And he's just struggling with this, the fact that he would apologize to the children, the fact, all of that was really interesting. But otherwise, it's Mary Poppins.
Mm-hmm.
It's the original story, which, like, let's be honest, why on earth would you do that? Like, you can't beat the original. That's why it is what it is. So I don't think they reinvented any kind of wheel here. Mm-hmm. I think they did the same thing. It's literally the same story beat for beat. Save for the kids are technically well behaved, where like Michael and Jane weren't, even though the whole point was to teach the dad that, don't make them grow up too fast or whatever. Which these kids, there was an argument that they did already grow up too fast because their mom died, and the whole point is like let them be kids again, while also giving Michael and Jane that stress relief and Mary Poppins being magical and whatever. Obviously there's a parent death then because Michael's wife had passed away, and Annabelle, Georgie, and John are the main kids here. I was a little upset about the Bert throwaway line. I never caught that in the first watch through I did of this, but at the beginning, because this isn't as big of a time skip in universe as it was in real life, mm-hmm. Mary Poppins asks about Bert to Jack, and Jack says some throwaway line about, oh, he's traveling the world right now.
Who's Bert?
Bert is Dick Van Dyke's character in the original Mary Poppins.
Oh, okay.
So, they
were basically using that as an excuse to get Dick Van Dyke into the other role?
Well, Dick Van Dyke is too old. They didn't cast Julie Andrews, right?
Okay.
So, like...
They were gonna...
And in universe, It hasn't been that long. Michael, for us, it had been over 40 years. For them, it's only been, 15 or whatever. So
I had found out that Julie Andrews actually was...
refused the cameo because she wanted to give Emily her moment.
Yeah, yes. So they went with Angela, which I thought was fantastic. She still sounded great for what age she was, but, honestly, a very respectful move on her part, so...
Yeah. So... Yeah, and then my other biggest problem with this is the absolutely lazy Jack and Jane romance angle. Where did that come from? Nothing even really happens with it. So unnecessary.
I think they just wanted to try and add another layer to things, make it a little more in-depth story, but yeah, it felt like it wasn't really necessary to what was going on.
Yeah.
Now, if they had explored a little deeper, sure, I thought that would have been a nice little touch, But it was unnecessary, but it was there. So, and I didn't really think it hurt the movie too much. But
no, it just we didn't need it.
It was unnecessary fat on the bone.
Mostly probably. I have a feeling they did it because they couldn't do a romance between Jack and Mary because Mary and Bert are a little sneaky feeling romantic. Chide at each other in the first one, so I'm guessing they were like, let's not have Mary fall for Jack, but Jack needs somebody. So they do Jane. And it just felt so unnecessary to the grand story as a whole. And time wasted, but another example of what Mary Poppins can do, right? Mm-hmm. So overall, it's a very entertaining movie. It's visually stunning, super fun. It's just if this is what they did, why? If you're going to do a Mary Poppins sequel, do something different.
I mean, over $300 million. That's why.
That's not that good, though, compared to how other movies are doing at the time.
Well, compared to other legacy sequels, it is.
This is on par with how Dumbo did, and Dumbo's considered not good.
I find that surprising, because they more than doubled their budget.
Which is okay, great, they made their money back. That's what, they care about the most. But... and it was nominated for many Oscars, just like the first one was. But there's other things that they're putting out at this time that are making $700 million mm-hmm. and above. So for an example, we'll get there. You guys aren't there yet, but Aladdin makes $1.02 billion, and that's a remake. So
True, but the generation that grew up with Aladdin was still around in force, whereas Mary Poppins,
Yeah, I suppose
not so
that's
much.
true.
I thought that was the strength of the movie. I really loved Emily Blunt. I thought she fit the role perfectly. She played it to a T. You know, she had the whimsy, the, you know, stoic exterior with the soft interior that the original Mary Poppins did. I thought she was one of the highlights of the movie. Lin-Manuel, I thought he did a great job as Jack, you know, always inquisitive, all that sort of stuff. And I thought the kids, especially Georgie, was really great, you know, adding that, you know, childlike wonder to it all. So I thought the cast and the acting was the strength of this movie.
Yeah. I think Emily Blunt captured it so well. Truly, that's hard. To step into
Those
Julie
shoes?
Andrews' Mary Poppins shoes is insane. That's like someone trying to do Sound of Music for Julie Andrews. You know, those two are the big ones. And she does it. She captures it. The biggest difference, I would say, between her and Julie Andrews is Emily's singing voice is significantly lower. She has a way lower register.
Was that her real voice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. She can sing. She was in Into the Woods.
I don't remember, sorry.
So her singing voice is naturally much lower. So you don't have that soprano-y, old school Julie Andrews moment, which was fine. I didn't notice it in my first watch through when I saw it in theaters, but for this, that's when I clocked. I was like, oh, wait, like, I could probably sing her songs, and, like, original Mary Poppins songs are hard for me to sing. So I feel like if I were to miss anything of, like, her Mary Poppins, it'd be like, I wish she could sing up in that register with Julie Andrews. But I didn't miss it enough to think she was bad. I think she did really honestly capture, like you said, the strict exterior, but with the soft, like, little winky, like, yes, I do have magic, but I'm gaslighting you into thinking I don't. I love that. I think that's really great. I think also the movie felt very like, okay, fine, until she showed up. As soon as Emily Blunt was on screen as Mary Poppins, I was like, oh, okay, she's carrying the
Wasn't
film.
her entrance awesome?
Yes, that was very good with the kite. Yeah, that was great. I think Lin-Manuel, his accent was a bit rough. When he was speaking, it was okay. But when he had to sing, or God forbid, do even a little bit of his rapping, that accent was slipping, my guy. That was hard for him. But otherwise, you know, I feel this was very Lin-Manuel stepping out of his comfort zone. I feel very much, obviously, his comfort zone is like kind of quippy rap, because he's got In the Heights, he's got Hamilton. You know, You're Welcome in Moana has a rap sequence. Like, you know, all these things. And I have seen him act outside of just like Hamilton. I personally don't think he's the strongest actor, but I think he was decent. I do think he was an interesting choice as like a Dick Van Dyke comparison, because he's nothing like Dick Van Dyke for me personally. But I think he fit the role. I think he was sweet and nice. And then Meryl Streep was so random. I thought that was the most random moment of all time. And then Colin Firth, excellent as usual. It's Colin Firth. Angela Lansbury cameo, so fun because she obviously did Bedknobs and Broomsticks, which is often compared to Mary Poppins because it's very similar. It was a hybrid film.
And it's amazing her voice sounds exactly the same.
Crazy, because I'm fairly confident this was the last movie she was ever in.
Probably, yeah. That was my thought when I saw her.
Ancient. And
she sounded almost
exactly the same, which was beautiful and wonderful. And I remember in the theater I wept when she came on screen. I was like, obviously this time I knew it was coming. And then also in the theater when I saw this, when Dick Van Dyke at 90-something years old got on the table and did the Chim Chim Cheree dance, I was like, I want to be like that when I'm 93 years old. Are we kidding? And he's still alive today, which...
Legend.
We stand, we love. He's amazing. Love that he was able to do that and be silly and come and be the cameo and be the bank person, let alone anything else. So that was really great as well. And then ending with what you ended. Oh, well, Ben Whishaw as Michael Banks was fantastic. Mm-hmm. He totally sold that. His little moment in the attic singing about his wife. Oh, so good.
He conveyed emotions better than anybody in that movie.
Yeah, I agree. His crying when he broke down, he said sorry to the kids and everything. Oh my god, I got emotional. I was like, uh-oh, he might get me. And then lastly, the kids. The kids were great. Mm-hmm. Annabelle was so, her serious, we can do it. John was fun, and then I agree about Georgie. He definitely brought home that, like, heart little kid moment. Choreography. Absolutely incredible. Fantastic. Triple Little Light, fantastic. You gotta give them to him. It was so nice to have, like, a full-blown group dance break again, like Chim Chim Cheree. Great choreography in that moment for me, I would agree.
The cabaret sequence on the stage that I mentioned before.
Oh, yes, the cover's not a book.
Yeah, I thought that was... It wasn't quite Triple the Light fantastic, but it was right there in terms of quality.
Yeah, it was fun.
So
well,
it was all
fun
good.
because that also had, like, the animated
right.
characters doing a dance, too, which was super fun.
The penguins, because it had to be the penguins.
It had to be the penguins, and they looked exactly like they were supposed to, which was super... Not supposed to, but they looked like they did before, which was fun. But yeah, I would definitely say the cinematography stands out.
Yes.
Or not cinematography. Choreography.
Aside from the acting, probably the strongest part of the movie.
Yeah.
Favorite part? Oh boy, her entrance.
Yeah.
I think really brought home how fun the movie was going to be. I mean, showing up out of the fog, holding the kite as it drifts away. I mean, just it contrasted so well. That was one of the nice differences from her entrance from the first movie, which is a little more, like, pretty straightforward. Whereas
she floats down from the umbrella right onto the steps.
I mean, this was a much more dynamic and emotional sort of entrance, conveying the prestige that Mary Poppins has to this day. So, and then Emily Blunt just seized it from the moment she started speaking. So, I think that one was probably my favorite. That and the chase sequence with the carriage. I thought that was so well animated and so, up-tempo. I love that stuff. So, yeah, those are mine.
Yeah. My favorite part is definitely the animated sequence hybrid moment, especially the chase. It's just so good. It's so reminiscent of old Disney movies, which... Don't get me wrong, I obviously love all the, like, 3D CG animated, Frozen, Tangled, Ralph, all these newer ones are really beautiful and really good, but just because we transitioned to this animation, I feel doesn't mean we should have gotten rid of and stopped doing the other animation, because it's really, they're all in art form. And so to see it in this crisp, new, awesome, like, updated format is just so special. And so I definitely also loved, and just to see what they could do with it now that the technology's updated, where like, they fully look like they're walking on it, they're interacting with it. That was just so fun and looked so good. And then I'd say like Dick Van Dyke, Angela Lansbury, just all these cameos were also my favorite parts. It's just so good.
Yes.
Least favorite part?
Oh boy. Who played the villain?
Colin Firth?
Yeah. I really don't think his motivations were explained well enough.
Sure, I agree. He was just a greedy capitalist.
Yeah, so I really think they should have explored that a little more, because he had to have a good reason to want to do that, but they didn't really explore it, so I was a little annoyed by that. That was probably my least favorite part.
Sure. My least favorite part is probably like the dupe for dupe song. Like, that was annoying. I wish they could have just come up with their own songs instead of creating situations in which they could have like the beat for beat songs. It's probably mine. Would you recommend it?
Yes, I would. Okay. Among Disney legacy sequels or live action remakes or whatever you want to call them, this is one of the better ones in my opinion. So, if you love Mary Poppins, I think you're going to love this. If you like musicals, you're definitely going to love this. So, absolutely, if you're looking for that type of movie, I would recommend this one.
Sure. I'd say if you're interested and you're curious, I'd recommend it. If you think Mary Poppins is like the greatest movie you've ever seen and anything trying to be it would be an insult, don't watch this. But otherwise, if you're interested and you want to see, how it looks updated or anything like that, I would definitely recommend. Would you watch it again?
Yeah, I think I would. If it came on and I had nothing else to do, I'd watch it.
Sure, okay. I mean, I would only watch it again if someone, like, really wanted to watch it. I'd be like, yeah, that's fine then. I don't think I'd go out of my way and be like, you know what I want to watch today? Mary Poppins Returns. Wouldn't happen. I'd watch Mary Poppins. Okay, anything else before we wrap up?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything. I think the movie was well done for what it was, and, as far as sequels go, I'm always strict on grading out sequels, and I was pleasantly surprised by this one because I didn't have the highest expectations going in. So, all things considered, I was pleasantly surprised.
Great. Okay. What would you rate it?
You know, I think 7.5 is probably where around I have it.
Okay, what should we do?
Umbrellas.
Kites? Umbrellas.
Has to be umbrellas.
Sure. Well, it could have been lamps.
It could have, but
It's umbrellas. Okay. 7.5 umbrellas at a time?
7.5 umbrellas.
7 umbrellas at a time.
All right.
Our total movie count is... Our parent death toll is... Cry count is still the same. I did not cry. If you want to keep up with the movie I'm watching when, follow me on all socials and check out my website because it's cool and it's new and it's fun. Follow Eric. He writes about the Bears, the Chicago Bears, though, so I don't know how much you'd be interested in that. But if you are a person that has crossover interests like that, go follow him. Join Patreon. I got a tier starting at just $1. You get every video a week early. Tiers above that, daily trivia, monthly postcards, bonus content, etc. And there's lots of stuff going on over there for Celebration Month. Buy merch. Look it, we match. There's new merch. Go buy it, please. That's all I have. Until next time, which is tomorrow. Commonly describe it. I'm not in charge of your life. You are, so do you, and don't be Colin Firth's character about it. Thanks, Bub.
You're welcome, sis.
Thanks, Bub. All done.
Okay.